live the dream. So, what do I mean by live the dream? You want to be a filmmaker? Read filmmaker books. The Film Director by Richard Barrett was my first real filmmaker book, and I found it in my dad's library, and I tore that stuff up. I also Cinematic Emotion by Stephen Katz, Cinematography for Directors by Jacqueline Frost. Jason, did you have any books that inspired you?
Yeah, I had a couple. The first one, I'll do a more nuts and boltsy one. The Independent Film Producers Survival Guide.
Hmm.
I believe it was published around 2010. Forget the author's name, but it's a really good nuts and bolts, like like how to do budgets, how where to premiere your movie, how to make your movie, like how to distribute your movie, how to promote your movie. Now, it was originally written in 2010, so I think there have been some updates, but I don't know exactly how relevant some of the distribution stuff is. But the nuts and bolts stuff, like I still follow to this day. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
go
Oh,
ahead,
you
go
got
ahead.
another? No, you got another one. Please
I
go
do I
ahead.
do have another one. The other one is a little more of an inspirational thing
Hmm.
because, at least as far as the nuts and bolts path, I don't think it is so relevant today, but Robert Rodriguez's Rebel Without a Crew. And, I know a lot of filmmakers, cite this one a lot, so I feel kind of funny doing it too. But really, the cool thing about Rodriguez and, say, Kevin Smith and Richard Linklater back in the 90s is, regardless of how they actually became famous or whatever, they all were self-generating filmmakers. They all just went out and made their movies. Like, they all three made them on spec. They didn't have any way to get them out, and then they got lucky, of course, but then the luck mixed with the preparation. Anyway, Rebel Without a Crew, it's basically Robert Rodriguez's diary for like the entire like development through distribution of El Mariachi, and it's really great, filled with a lot of great anecdotes.
Awesome. Yeah, I would think that the one I think that was the most nuts and bolty for me, at least in what the job of a director was the Film Director by Richard Barrett. Now, certainly there's been some other editions, and I'm not even sure that he's even functioning today because we're talking quite a ways back. I think the first publishing was in the 70s, and I was reading it probably in the late 80s. But a lot of the kind of higher end ideas are just the leadership and being a department head and what that entails, I think would certainly do that. And then the other ones from me were certainly very more focused on kind of actually doing the job, cinematic motion and cinematography for directors, collaborating with your actual, you're with your DP, kind of the most important other person on the set, other than the director, in the sense of getting that vision across, the person you're truly collaborating with, a way that used to be ultimately one job. So,
Right.
uh, so the other thing that you have is you could join a movie making organization. It's not going to be, the PGA or even the DGA off the bat, although for many that's a dream. And I know that Jason's been a member of the PGA before.
Hmm.
You could be a member of IndieClub.com, which I'd used when I moved to Ohio. Or back in the day, there was Dove Simmons, where I attended a workshop, or subscribe to an excellent YouTube channel. Hint, hint.
Yeah, no, yeah, like this one. No, I was going to say, a lot of the stuff we're talking about today, 10 years ago, it didn't exist on the internet. Like, you had to get all of this information. You had to buy the books or go to the seminars or go to the film festivals and listen to the talks. But now, for I'd say almost 90% of the info, you can go onto YouTube and find it. Like, like I just sat here and was talking about this book, but I bet you can find excerpts from the book or somebody talking about the book on YouTube itself, and get what you need out of it. Like, I think YouTube's a great resource to help learn filmmaking.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that I found on YouTube that I had previously, and other, and being of a different generation before YouTube, where it was like gold, but it was the Martin Scorsese cinematic journey through film,
Yep.
which at the time that I originally had it, you could only probably get it on video, and it was very specific. And now it's on YouTube.
Mhm.
You can watch that, and that is a very unique perspective from someone who is very well educated and spent a lot of time really doing what we're talking about, which is one of the best things that you can absolutely do, is see a lot of movies,
Right.
become an expert in the genre you're thinking about, you're interested in making it. It helps to be a fan.
Yeah,
You
and especially like in regards to if you're making your first film at the micro budget level, I mean, yes, of course you want to learn from the greats and watch the studio pictures and whatnot, but if you're making a film for less than $50,000 or 20 or whatever it is, you should absolutely be looking at other movies in that budget level, looking at other independent filmmakers' work. Learn not only from their successes but from their mistakes. Like I think that that's one thing when people are going about learning the nuts and bolts of filmmaking or learning how to make films. Like it's a good idea to study a wide berth of stuff, not just the good stuff. Study the bad too.
Well, or have a fundamental understanding of what has done well within a specific, if you wanna say that, because like if you're a fan of something, you'll want to see the good and the bad within that genre, just to kind of understand what's going. You don't have to see every bad film or every good film specifically, to make a project, but maybe you need to see at least an example of that for that specific genre, or if you're, mixing it, mashing it up, you want to do that. Plus, now you have access to every form of media. You can find on VOD like Netflix or AVOD like YouTube. You can find these movies, and all of these projects are available to you. You know, so and it, Jason for Jason, it'd be what doesn't Jason watch?
Yeah, I have like just like with my filmmaking, I have very, very broad tastes when it comes to movies. I like making all different kinds of movies, and I like watching all different kind of movies. So yeah.
And for me, it's probably and it's an end, and it shouldn't be an end. It should have been the first thing. Read scripts. There are so
Mm,
many available now. I personally maintain a physical library and a digital library, because they're always during award season. All of them are being published. When you're looking at stuff and you're doing research, especially from a screen craft or a craft idea, there's a lot of things that you can gather just from really reading a script and then watching a movie and then reading a script.
yeah, and
Um,
there's plenty. If people are you're like, well, I don't know where to find scripts. There are websites. I'll tell you what. When we finish this live stream, I'm gonna
mhm.
put a link to my personal Dropbox where I have like I think I have 500 produced scripts in there that I got a couple of years ago. But yeah, reading scripts is great, and it doesn't have to be like a slog. A lot of people don't like to read scripts, but you can even kind of make a game out of it. Like read a script from a movie that you've seen and try to see like where the differences are and like what changed from script to screen, and see if you can figure out why. Like it can really be a good educational exercise into filmmaking, just and it can be entertaining as well. I personally like to read scripts.
Well, and you can also do things like challenge, taking a couple scripts and saying, reading one page of each of the scripts and seeing how much of that genre, how much of that information is coming across in that one page,
Right.
or just reading the first 3 pages of something and really seeing how it's presented. And you can use it in different ways. You often, there's, these are formats we're talking about. So it's really sometimes if you don't know how to do something, the best way, especially through writing mechanics, is to go find a script that's doing it. If it's like I don't really quite understand how to write a description for,
Mm.
graphics,
Right,
or
right,
cross-cutting between two people on phones, or what's off screen versus a voiceover,
right.
and so you start to, if you go and you watch a movie, and then you read the script that you like, you're going to pick up a lot of information just by osmosis, that you wouldn't get if you didn't do that. So the bottom line is, the more you are immersed in the world, the more energy and knowledge you can bring to producing your own project. I mean, it's common sense. I mean, how would I not want to know more about what I'm doing?